It's possible to fight climate change because we are the instigators of climate change. It derives directly from our economic activities, and so we can stop it. So I'm a coral reef scientist, a coral ecologist, and I have been working on coral reefs since the early 90s, looking at the effects of climate change on corals. So that's the mass coral bleaching that we see and the mortality, and then the recovery of the reefs. And then we also, as an organization, look at small-scale fisheries and people's dependence. We try and understand how that's changing or being undermined by climate change and overuse and overfishing. The critical thing for coral reefs is that the amount of climate change and warming we're facing is going to be too much for them to withstand. That's a lot to do with pollution, making sure water quality is as good as possible. It's also about overfishing. If reefs are overfished, then algae proliferates. Algae are competitors to coral, so they prevent coral recovery. So it's very important to really build the resilience of coral reefs and other ecosystems by minimizing local stresses, while we also try and deal with the global stresses as well. There's a lot of scope for more agency by communities and citizens. We're trying to help understand how we can build local capacity for people to be co-managers of the reefs that they are dependent on, so they also work with the government to implement that. My other role now is as the chair of the intergovernmental platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services. And we synthesize science to make it more usable by policymakers in policymaking contexts. And that's critical right now because the planet is at limits for the state of biodiversity. And there's, many millions and billions of vulnerable people dependent on ecosystems for their livelihoods and their health and their food. So we really need to understand this complex system and make the tough decisions to transform our economic systems to be more sustainable, to reduce or eliminate overconsumption, and to understand how we can lift those who are at the bottom of the income scale so they have a better quality of life and have a fair share of the global resources that they can access. So it's critically important to get local empowerment in managing nature. In our case, coral reefs, but it's the same for all other systems, really. We have to integrate knowledges together to be able to find the right solutions.